Think about some of your toughest stains. Your most difficult. Your most painful. For these, you might think of trying a pre-treater.
Think again of Era Plus. Here's why. This pre-treater can't beat this grass stain, even with detergent. But watch Era power through with just a spray of water. So when you think of stains, think of this. Era Plus, the power tool for stains.
Whoopi talks with TV's Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith, on the next Whoopi Goldberg Show.
Friday at midnight on Channel 5. You're watching Channel 5.
They battled in Richmond. Who would you choose? Who has the perseverance, the character, the integrity, the maturity to get the job done?
If the American people want to do it and not talk about it, then they ought to, I'm one person they ought to consider.
You have to decide whether you want to change or not. We do not need 4 more years of an economic theory that doesn't work. We've had 12 years of trickle-down economics. It's time to put the American people first.
Tonight, as the dust settles, an instant response to how the candidates did. From 100 uncommitted voters giving their blow-by-blow reaction to the debate. And we'll also hear from the 3 campaigns.
This is ABC News Nightline. Substituting for Ted Koppel and reporting from Washington, Chris Wallace.
It was supposed to be the Donahue or Oprah debate. 3 presidential candidates sitting on stools and walking in the audience as if they were part of a TV talk show. But something surprising happened tonight. Getting a chance to talk to the candidates, those voters said, knock off the personal attacks and one-liners and stick to the issues. For President Bush, who came in behind in the polls, hoping to cut into Bill Clinton's character and his lead, it turned into a somewhat frustrating night. And according to several polls, Bill Clinton did very well. We'll get to those in a moment. But what we want to begin with this evening is a group of voters, not firmly committed to any candidate, who watched the debate on TV. They were hooked up to what are called debate meters, able to register what they liked or didn't like every second of tonight's event. And you may be surprised by how the candidates did, at least with this audience. Nightline's Dave Marash has our report on round 2 of the great debates.
Bill Clinton, criticized Sunday for being too stiff and over-rehearsed, offered a looser, folksier style tonight, often walking towards his questioners in the audience or turning towards a camera to talk directly to viewers at home. Ross Perot, successful last Sunday with wit and humor, used them again tonight, holding his position as the man lobbing grenades at American government from the outside. While President George Bush, encouraged by his backers to get tough and accusatory tonight, changed neither the form nor the content of his message in the second presidential debate of 1992. And judging by the responses of 125 people who logged minute-by-minute reactions to the debate, the people asking the president to punch up his approach were right. From the start, the questions demanded specific answers and all but written pledges from the candidates that they would fulfill the promises in those answers. Several questioners said they wanted the competition to concentrate on issues and not personal attacks.
Watch the line to the left of the speaker. As it goes up, it means the listeners approve of what they're hearing. When it drops, they're unimpressed.
Of all proposals. I couldn't agree with you more. Couldn't agree with you more. And I have said again and again and again, let's get off mud wrestling, let's get off personalities, and let's talk about jobs, health care, crime, the things that concern the American people. I'm spending my money, not PAC money, not foreign money, my money, to take this message to the people.
My argument with Governor Clinton...
Can we talk to Prompter?
You can call it mud wrestling, but I think it's...
Tell him to spin forward to, as the debate...
I am deeply troubled by someone who demonstrates and organizes demonstration in a foreign land when his country's at war. Probably a lot of kids here disagree with me, but that's what I feel. That's what I feel passionately about. I'm thinking of Ross Perot's running mate sitting in the jail. How would he feel about it? But maybe that's generational. I don't know.
I'm not interested in his character. I want to change the character of the presidency. And I'm interested in what we can trust him to do and what you can trust me to do and what you can trust Mr. Perot to do for the next 4 years. So I think you're right, and I hope the rest of the night belongs to you.
As the debate wore on, some patterns emerged, and few of them would comfort the president. Often when answers were similar, it was as if, though the lyrics were the same, the music sounded different to that focus group, and frequently they didn't seem to like the president's tune. But even when answers differed, the president was in trouble. One question was almost a plea. A questioner wanted to know, how have these hard economic times affected you personally? While the answers of Clinton and Perot were different, both got roughly the same level of approval. The president fumbles for an answer, and you'll watch the graph as disapproval of his answer grows.
It caused me to disrupt my private life and my business to get involved in this activity. That's how much I care about it. And believe me, if you knew my family and if you knew the private life I have, you would agree in a minute that that's a whole lot more fun than getting involved in politics. But I have lived the American dream. I came from a very modest background. Nobody's been luckier than I've been. All the way across the spectrum, and the greatest riches of all are my wife and children. It's true of any family.
Everybody cares if people aren't doing well. But I don't think it's fair to say, you haven't had cancer, therefore you don't know what it's like. I don't think it's fair to say, whatever it is, if you haven't been hit by it personally, but everybody's affected by the debt. Because of the tremendous interest that goes into paying on that debt, everything's more expensive. Everything comes out of your pocket and my pocket.
What I want you to understand is the national debt is not the only cause of that. It is because America has not invested in its people. It is because we have not grown. It is because we've had 12 years of trickle-down economics. We've gone from first to 12th in the world in wages. We've had 4 years where we produced no private sector jobs. Most people are working harder for less money than they were making 10 years ago. It is because we are in the grip of a failed economic theory. And this decision you're about to make better be about what kind of economic theory you want. Not just people saying, I'm going to go fix it, but what are we going to do?
When the subject moved to schools and American education, once again it was the education president whose answers seemed to get failing grades.
We live in a world where what you earn depends on what you can learn, where the average 18-year-old will change jobs 8 times in a lifetime, and where none of us can promise any of you that what you now do for a living is absolutely safe from now on. Nobody running can promise that. There's too much change in the world. So what should we do? Let me reel some things off real quick, because you said you wanted specifics. Number one, under my program, we would provide matching funds to states to teach everybody with a job to read in the next 5 years and give everybody with a job the chance to get a high school diploma in big places on the job. Number two, we would provide 2-year apprenticeship programs to high school graduates who don't go to college, and community colleges are on the job. Number three, we'd open the doors to college education to high school graduates without regard to income. They could borrow the money and pay it back as a percentage of their income over the couple of years of service to our nation here at home. Number four, we would fully fund the Head Start program to get little kids off to a good start.
One more time, you brought a front row box seat and got a third-rate performance. It's a government that's not serving you. By and large, it should be local. The more local, the better. Interesting phenomenon. Small towns have good schools, big cities have terrible schools. The best people in a small town will serve on the school board. You get into big cities, it's political patronage, stepping stones. You get the job, give your relatives the janitor's jobs at $57,000 a year, more than the teachers make, and with luck, they clean the cafeteria once a week.
My school choice program, GI Bill for Kids, does not take public money and give it to private schools. It does what the GI Bill itself did when I came out of World War II. It takes public money and gives it to families or individuals to choose the school they want. And where it's been done, those schools like in Rochester, those schools that weren't chosen, find that they then compete and do better.
When the debate was over, that 100-person focus group was asked to summarize their impressions of the whole debate. This is what they had to say. 37% thought Bill Clinton had won. 32% thought Ross Perot had won. Only 7% gave the nod to President Bush. But perhaps even more significantly, this audience of people who had claimed to be totally uncommitted or only slightly leaning in one or another direction said 25% would now vote for Bill Clinton. 16% were now convinced that they would vote for Ross Perot. Only 6% said that on this night, in the second presidential debate, George Bush had won their line in the ballot. Last night, the Atlanta Braves proved that it ain't over until it's over. But next Monday night, when George Bush heads into the third and final presidential debate, it'll be the last of the ninth, and it'll look like he's much more than 3 runs down. He's going to need grand slam after grand slam, and Chris, that means he's going to have to crank it up and finally try and take a home run swing.
Dave Marash, thanks very much. Clinton could also take heart in a nationwide poll taken immediately after the debate tonight. The survey of 1,145 voters taken by CBS News gave the victory by a wide margin to Bill Clinton. He was seen as the winner by 53% of those polled. President Bush was second with 25%, and Ross Perot was third with 21%, seeing him as the winner in Richmond. We also have a reading tonight from Texas. With its 32 electoral votes, it is being watched very closely in these final days of the campaign. Tonight, a statewide poll taken by the Dallas Morning News shows Bill Clinton also the winner of the debate with 49%, saying that he took the honors. George Bush finished second with 21%, and Ross Perot was third in the poll with 17%. When we come back, what the campaigns make of round 2 in the presidential debates. We'll be joined by officials from the Bush, Clinton, and Perot camps.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Nicoderm.
I don't remember. It was something.
The Nicoderm patch. Nicotine transdermal system.
Yeah, it's called Nicoderm.
Oh, yeah, the patch. Right, it's a patch.
Nicoderm.
A lot of people don't know about it. You know, maybe I'll ask my doctor.
Nicoderm. It's a patch, huh?
Yeah, it's a patch.
Nicoderm, by prescription only.
Ask anyone who's driven a Ford lately. They can tell you safety means more than seatbelts and reinforced steel panels. It can mean anti-lock brakes, child-proof door locks. It means your family's protection. That's why Ford offers more models with dual airbags than any other manufacturer. Have you driven a Ford lately? It's more than just a question. It's an answer.
What are you doing?
Phantom of the Opera by Ken Hill.
I did as I promised.
Live on stage.
I sang Marguerite for you one last time.
At last, the Phantom has arrived. Ken Hill's original production of Phantom of the Opera.
The chandelier! No, get away from that!
Phantom.
I'd go see it again. I thought it was wonderful.
Live at the Stevens Auditorium. Tickets on sale Monday at the Iowa State Center box office, Ticketmaster, or charged by phone.
Halloween is just around the corner, so your local Wendy's restaurant and Channel 5 have teamed up to help your children have a safe and enjoyable Halloween evening.
We're inviting you to stop by your local Wendy's and pick up one of these useful bags. They're absolutely free, and you can use them for trick-or-treating or for a Halloween decoration.
The bags are plastic, strong, and waterproof, and best of all, they hold lots of treats.
So join Channel 5 and Wendy's and have a safe and happy Halloween.
You thought you'd heard it all with Jeffrey Dahmer. This one's worse. Meet the mild-mannered grandfather who's the world's worst serial killer. A 2020 exclusive, Friday.
James Cicconi is a senior issues advisor to the Bush-Quayle campaign. James Carville is the Clinton-Gore campaign strategist. And Clay Mulford is general counsel for the Perot-Stockdale campaign. He's also Mr. Perot's son-in-law. Our guests are all in Richmond, the site of tonight's debate. Mr. Cicconi, perhaps the most interesting moment tonight was when President Bush was going after Bill Clinton's character, and the audience there in the hall didn't like it, and our focus group didn't like it. Is the president now going to knock off the personal attacks?
Well, I think the president was raising a very valid issue, Chris. The fact is, character is an important virtue in any candidate, and I think it's particularly important in a president. I think he brought home the fact that you can't have a person in that office who flip-flops on issues. He mentioned that you can't turn the White House into a Waffle House.
But, Mr. Cicconi, what do you make of the fact that the audience, the voters, don't seem to like that?
Well, I didn't get that from the audience at all, Chris. I thought the point that the president made about who can you trust in a crisis, who would you pick
to leave the stage to deal with the crisis if that were to occur. I think that has a lot to do with character, and I think that's the point the president was driving home.
Mr. Carville, should Governor Clinton's character now be off limits somehow?
Well, I don't know anything about his character being off limits. He's a man of magnificent character. I think one of the things that President Bush says, you need somebody to trust in the crisis. We're in a crisis, and you can trust him to do nothing. And I think that's his problem in this election. I think people understand this country is in an economic crisis. We need change and we need action, and the president's not doing anything. But, you know, I thought tonight the American people wanted debate. They got a chance to hear about the things that they cared about, and they saw people just like themselves asking very important questions and hearing answers. So I'd say we came in second. American people came in first tonight.
Honestly, Mr. Carville, as a practical political strategist, if you were in the Bush situation, if you were behind by double digits right now, wouldn't you go negative?
Well, it's been going negative the last 5 spots. It ran negative. There's been nothing but somebody said they threw mud the whole time. That didn't work, and they started throwing garbage. I think it was David Gergen that said that, but I don't ascribe to exactly who it was, but I remember somebody saying it. That's the position they're in, and it's not helping them. I think what they got to level with the American people, tell them why we've had this slow economic growth, tell them how they can turn this thing around. They're not going to turn it around by slinging all this garbage at Governor Clinton. People don't want that. You saw it in the crowd tonight. You saw it in these kind of focus groups that y'all did. People want to talk about what can be done to get this country moving again and turn it around and get it going in the right direction.
Let me bring in Clay Mulford if I can. Ross Perot, giving his answers tonight, was long on one-liners but very short on specifics. Why doesn't he ever discuss in these debates, the first one or this one, his program in detail, the specific proposals?
Well, I disagree that that was the case tonight, and then there will be a half-an-hour program addressing that tomorrow evening. When we have run one program in the entire campaign, one proactive program, while the other candidates are running pro and con ads against each other and arguing with one another and exchanging vituperative attacks. That program addressed merely the economic issues we faced. We were told that no one would watch it, that it would be laughable in American politics. What we found out is what we thought was true. The American people are smarter than they're given credit for.
But Mr. Mulford,
yes.
We do have limited time. Excuse me for interrupting.
No problem.
He keeps talking about the harsh medicine. He does have harsh medicine in his book, the 50-cent gas tax, increasing Social Security payroll taxes, limiting the home mortgage deduction. He had the whole nation listening tonight. Why doesn't he mention it?
Well, I think you're addressing what are the specific revenue production plans, and those will be specifically addressed tomorrow night. But let me answer the foundation of your question. And the foundation is, how do we create an economy that produces jobs that can foster an economic growth in the country into the 21st century? In our view, you have a problem between the competing political parties, with the Republicans being anti-government, the Democrats looking at government as the solution to issues, and the American people not trusting the way government operates because of its inefficiencies. We think that we should bring in people from outside the current political system, impose an intelligent philosophy onto government cooperation with business, and have a cohesive economic program for the coming century. That's what our program's about. The exact techniques of raising revenues, including the gas tax and other issues that these other political parties will not face, will be discussed in great explicit manner tomorrow evening.
All right. We'll wait for that, Mr. Mulford. Mr. Cicconi, yes. Let me ask you, Perot was taking shots tonight at the president and at Governor Clinton. The Republicans and Democrats, they're the problem. Why are you guys giving him such a free ride?
Well, I think the primary focus right now is on the difference in economic plans between Governor Clinton and President Bush. I think that's what the American people want to hear. That's one of the few things I agree with that James said. But I think what you saw tonight is the fact that George Bush was the one talking about the differences between the two of them on the economy and on their different economic plans, and it was Bill Clinton who was skirting the issue, who was refusing to confront the fact that he wants to increase spending and increase taxes, and that is the wrong thing to do for an economy that's recovering.
Gentlemen, we have to break in here, but when we return, I want to ask all of you where this race is headed in the final 2.5 weeks. And we'll continue our discussion in a moment.
The year's top screen adventure, says USA Today. Siskel and Ebert give it 2 thumbs up. The Last of the Mohicans, rated R, now playing at theaters everywhere.
We'd like to introduce you to the new Nissan Altima GLE.
Altima? Huh, so that's what it's called.
It comes with a 6-speaker CD system, an available leather trim. It has a powerful 150 horsepower engine, and it has more than 40 standard safety features.
Wow, would you look at that?
The new Altima, the affordable luxury sedan from Nissan.
I wonder what they mean by affordable.
You've loved it in the past. It's time again for the push, pull, drag extravaganza at Clement Crossroads in Fort Dodge. Push, pull, or drag your used car or truck into Clement Crossroads and you'll get a minimum $2,000 trade-in on selected new and used cars. There are hundreds to choose from. Sharp used cars, 92 program cars, new 92s, and fresh from the factory 93 Chevys, Geos, Oldsmobiles, Cadillacs, and Toyotas. Come on in to Clement Crossroads in Fort Dodge or call us toll-free at 1-800-433-IOWA.
This month, Channel 5, Hardee's Restaurants, and Caldwell Banker Mid-America Group Realty are teaming up to provide coats for needy folks in our state. As you care for your children's needs this fall, think about Iowa's less fortunate families and what a warm coat could mean to them. If you'd like to help, all you need to do is drop off your donation at any of these locations. The coats you donate will be cleaned and distributed to Iowa families free of charge. Channel 5's Keep a Kid Warm program is designed to help these families through the winter months. We hope you'll want to help too.
The Iowa Homeless Youth Center, a shelter within our reach, reaching the homeless. Since 1985, the Iowa Homeless Youth Center in Des Moines has been reaching out to the young, the homeless, the runaways. With trained staff people, one of the ways the center reaches out is with the mobile outreach van. And in 1991 alone, more than 300 kids on the street were helped. The Iowa Homeless Youth Center, it is within our reach.
You thought you'd heard it all with Jeffrey Dahmer. This one's worse. Meet the mild-mannered grandfather who's the world's worst serial killer. A 2020 exclusive, Friday.
We are back now with James Cicconi, James Carville, and Clay Mulford. Mr. Carville, your man is ahead, according to the polls, anywhere from 7 to 12 points. But the polls also indicate that something like a third of the voters may still change their minds. How solid do you think your lead is at this point?
Oh, I think we got to go out and work hard every day. I've always often said in the poultry business, you sit on an egg and it hatches. In the political business, you sit on a league and it rots. And we're not in any, Governor Clinton doesn't want to do that. He understands the American people are going to be looking at this election right up to election day. They're very interested in it. They take their choice very seriously. And I know the governor wants to go out there every day. I know everybody on the staff wants to go out every day and define this election, talk about change, talk about the economy, talking about reform in health care. All this talk about a lead, that type of stuff makes me very nervous. I'm usually representing the guy that's behind, so we're going to work doubly hard to keep and maintain the trust of American people and to let them know that this country can change and we can make a better country and have a better life with Governor Clinton's plan.
Mr. Cicconi, some people thought that the president needed a big win tonight to cut into Clinton's lead, and according to the polls, everything we've seen, he clearly didn't get that. Was it a missed opportunity?
No, I think the president really did nail down the issues that he needed to stress in the course of this debate. And I think the American people in the remaining weeks of this election are going to look very carefully at the differences between these candidates on the issues.
But Mr. Cicconi, I mean, you're declaring victory. The fact is, according to a national poll and according to a poll of the crucial state of Texas, he lost and lost badly.
I think we've seen polls vary from one poll taker to the next and from one night to the next. Chris, you've been around politics long enough to know that. I think the real poll that counts is on Election Day.
Mr. Mulford, your man, Ross Perot, is going to spend at least $10 million in TV advertising in the final 2.5 weeks of this campaign. Is he actually going to get out and meet with voters, campaign like the other candidates?
Yeah, well, let's talk about this for a second. The other two candidates receive over $55.2 million directly from the taxpayers. Mr. Perot is spending his own money. In addition to the $55 million that they get from the federal government, they get over $100 million in soft money. The whole way the political process is financed is something we object to. I imagine he will spend $10 million on media because what we see is something very extraordinary in American politics. Usually with the passage of time, independent candidates go down in the polls. Since we have entered the race, according to the polls, we've gone from 7 to 15%. We don't follow them, we don't pay attention to them, but we notice them tonight. We also see a dramatic decrease in his negatives of 30 to 40% after the first debate. I think what you're seeing is an evolution of a conclusion in the American population. They want change. We think they're going to want change from outside the political process of politics as usual. We think it's going to become a race between Clinton and Perot, and we think Perot is going to win.
And you're saying that the president is going to be out of this?
I think so.
Well, why do you say that?
Well, I think tonight when he asked the American public what happens if we have a crisis, I think he doesn't reveal, he reveals a lack of appreciation for the fact there's a crisis now, and we need to address the situation now. And I think the American people will let him know that.
Very briefly, Mr. Mulford, you gave a good answer. You never answered my question, however. Part of the political process is for candidates actually to get out and meet with voters. Is he going to do that?
Sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you asked about the $10 million. Let me address the other part of your question.
Very briefly,
please. When the debates are completed, he made the TV last week, he's doing the debates this week, and we plan to be out in the public the last 2 weeks of the campaign.
Mr. Cicconi, just in terms of performance, this was the format Governor Clinton said several times that he wanted. Would you have to admit that he did pretty well in it, just in terms of performance?
Actually, I thought he was a bit contrived and looked programmed, much as he did in the first debate. I think the president was the one who seemed relaxed and at ease. I think this president is always very comfortable when he's got people in front of him that he's talking to directly, and I think he saw that tonight.
Mr. Carville, it was certainly a great deal more sedate than the vice presidential debate 2 days ago. How would you feel about a little more engagement, more free-for-all in the final debate next Monday?
Well, I think it's not really how I feel, it's how the American people feel, and I think we saw
well, you guys decide the format, they don't.
Well, again, but I think we saw, I say American people won. The people had the kind of debate they wanted. These were, I think, 250 people that were selected, and they got the kind of debate for an hour and a half that they wanted. I mean, running for president is a rough endeavor. I don't think we've been out there campaigning and debating and been in more debates than anybody else, and whatever the situation called for. But I think the governor prefers this type of thing where he's able to react to people and hear their concerns and talk to them directly and talk to them about the things that really matter to them. And you know, he's been criticized, but I think it worked very well for him. He does have a knowledge of what's going on. He has ideas, and he got a chance to express them tonight, and I think that's why he did very well. I think people picked up on that. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have somebody run for president that does know a little something.
Mr. Mulford, we got about 10 seconds. What did you think of the format?
I like the format. I thought the questions revealed the intelligence of the American people. Remember, this format was the one selected by Bill Clinton. It showcases the staging and so forth that he enjoys. He was coached for it. I think he did very well at it. It was very polished performance on his part. We enjoyed the questions. We enjoyed the focus on the issues.
Well, you're just like your man. You want a little bit more time to answer. Gentlemen, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you after Monday's debate.
Thank you.
And I'll be back in a moment.
How do you feel?
I feel great.
You feel terrible. Do you want to make some money? Okay. You feel terrible.
The New York Times calls Night in the City a lively, gripping foray into the urban landscape.
No can do. What's no can do? What's that, a Chinese appetizer?
Not since Raging Bull has there been such a performance.
This is it, man.
Gritty, intense, powerhouse performances from De Niro and Lange.
You want to kill me? I'll give a damn.
I'll bring you home, baby. Night in the City, rated R. New York engagement starts tomorrow. Opens everywhere October 23rd.
Well, it's here. Time for me to step down and retire as chairman of Chrysler. And hey, anybody that goes out wants to go out with a bang. And we've got a bang that'll be heard from Germany to Japan. It's a new car design that's as revolutionary as our minivan was. It's going to change the way cars are designed from now on. We call it cab forward. What we did was move the windshield forward. Then we pulled the rear wheels back. Made the rear doors wider and easier to get through, and increased the width. Believe me, this does more than just improve the looks. Gives you a lot more room inside, it rides better, and it's easier to handle. I think cab forward, like our minivan, is going to get copied by everybody. It has to, just because it makes so much sense. You know, I got to tell you, when it's your last turn at bat, it sure is nice to hit a home run.
Ace is the place for helpful hardware folks at Best Buys like these.
This Ace 24-inch poly lawn rake is only $3.99, and the 25-foot Ace tape rule is just $6.88.
Ace Best Buy.
Another reason Ace is the place.
For you.
We're in the money. We're in the money. We've got love. We're in the money. The skies are sunny. We've got a lot of what it takes.
On the next Good Morning America, after watching a second presidential debate, have uncommitted voters decided? Also, ABC News anchor Peter Jennings on the next Good Morning America.
Later on World News Now, how the debate looked to the moderator, ABC News correspondent Carol Simpson. That's later tonight on this ABC station. And that's our report for tonight. I'm Chris Wallace in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
If you wish a videocassette version of Nightline, the cost is $14.98 plus $3.95 shipping and handling.
Nightline is a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. 30 years ago, people rushed home thinking the world might be coming to an end. It almost did. Khrushchev, Kennedy, Castro.
We were within 24 hours or less of doing it.
You'll shudder when you realize how close we came to not being around to view this program. Peter Jennings, What the World Didn't Know, Saturday.
You're watching Channel 5.